The Douglas F3D Skyknight, later designated F-10 Skyknight, was a United States twin-engined, mid-wing jet fighter aircraft manufactured by the Douglas Aircraft Company in El Segundo, California. The F-3D was designed as a carrier-based all-weather night fighter and saw service with the United States Navy and United States Marine Corps. The mission of the F-3D was to search out and destroy enemy aircraft at night. The F-3D Skyknight was never produced in great numbers, but it did achieve many firsts in its role as a night fighter over Korea. While it never achieved the fame of the North American F-86 Sabre, it did down several Soviet-built MiG-15s as a night fighter over Korea with only one air-to-air loss of its own against a Chinese MiG-15, which occurred on the night of May 29, 1953. The Skyknight played an important role in the development of the radar-guided AIM-7 Sparrow missile, which led to further guided air-to-air missile developments. It also served as an electronic warfare platform in the Vietnam War as a precursor to the EA-6A Intruder and EA-6B Prowler. The aircraft is sometimes unofficially called Skyknight, dropping the second K. The unusual, portly profile earned it the nickname Willie the Whale. Some Vietnam War U.S. Marine veterans have referred to the Skyknight as Drut, whose meaning becomes obvious when read backwards. This may be in reference to its age, unflattering looks, or its low-slung air intakes that made it vulnerable to foreign object damage, FOD. Design and development. The F-3D was not intended to be a typical sleek and nimble dogfighter, but as a standoff night fighter, packing a powerful radar system and a second crew member. It originated in 1945 with a U.S. Navy requirement for a jet-powered, radar-equipped, carrier-based night fighter. The Douglas team led by Ed Heinemann designed around the bulky air intercept radar systems of the time, with side-by-side seating for the pilot and radar operator. The result was an aircraft with a wide, deep, and roomy fuselage. Instead of ejection seats, an escape tunnel was used, similar to the type used in the A3 Sky Warrior. The XF-3D-1 beat out Grumman Aircraft Engineering Corporation's G-75 two-seat, four-engined, Westinghouse J-30 powered night fighter design, and a contract was issued on April 3, 1946. The U.S. Navy's Bureau of Aeronautics, Bulletin Air, also issued a contract to Grumman for two G-75, company designation, XF-9F1, Bulletin Air designation, experimental aircraft on April 11, 1946 in case the Skyknight ran into problems. Grumman soon realized that the G-75 was a losing design but had been working on a completely different, single-engined day fighter known as the Grumman G-79, which became the F-9F Panther. The first flight of the XF-3D-1 was on March 23, 1948 at Douglas El Segundo facility with test pilot Russell Thaw at the controls. Further flight testing followed at El Segundo until October 1948. 3 prototypes were then taken to Muroc Air Force Base, later renamed Edwards Air Force Base, for service trials. These units were powered by 2 Westinghouse J-34 W-24 turbojets of 3000 lbf, 1361 kgf, thrust, mounted under the roots of then-standard straight wings of the early jet era. A production contract for 28 F-3D-1 J-34 W-32 powered production aircraft was issued in June 1948, with the first production aircraft flying on February 13, 1950. As a night fighter that was not expected to be as fast as smaller daylight fighters, the expectation was to have a stable platform for its radar system and the 420mm cannon mounted in the lower fuselage. The F-3D was, however, able to outturn a MiG-15. The fire control system in the F-3D-1 was the Westinghouse AN/APQ-35. The AN/APQ-35 was advanced for the time, a combination of 3 different radars, each performing separate functions, an AN/APS-21 search radar, an AN/APG-26 tracking radar, both located in the nose, and an AN/APS-28 tail warning radar. The complexity of this vacuum tube-based radar system, which was produced before the advent of semiconductor electronics, required intensive maintenance to keep it operating properly. The F3D-1 was followed by the F3D-2, which was first ordered in August 1949. The F3D-2 was intended to have Westinghouse J46 engines in enlarged nacelles to replace the J34W32 engines of the F3D-1, but because of development problems with the J46, the F3D-2 was initially fitted with J34W36 engines instead. Higher thrust J34W38 engines which increased aircraft performance were installed later. The F3D-2 also incorporated an improved Westinghouse /APQ-36 fire control system. A total of 237 F3D-2s were built before production ended on March 23, 1952. A higher performance F3D-3 version with swept wings and J46 engines was planned, but was cancelled when the trouble-plagued J46 engine program was terminated. Operational history. Korean War. The 28 F3D-1 aircraft were used primarily to train F3D crews and did not see combat in the Korean War. The F3D-2 Skyknight was only deployed to Korea by USMC land-based squadrons, beginning in September 1952. The Skyknight downed more enemy aircraft in Korea than any other single type of naval aircraft. The first air-to-air victory occurred on the night of November 2, 1952 in a USMC F3D-2 piloted by Major William T. Stratton, Jr., and his radar operator, Master Sergeant Hans C. Haugland of VMF, N. 513 Flying Nightmares. Major Stratton shot down what he believed was a Yakovlev Yak-15, even though no Yak-15s were reported in Korea, which was the first successful night radar interception by a jet of a jet. The Skyknight claimed its first MiG-15 jet fighter on November 8, 1952, when Captain O.R. Davis and Warrant Officer D.F. Ding Fessler downed a MiG-15 northwest of Pyongyang. USMC pilot Lieutenant Joseph Corvey and his radar operator Sergeant Dan George set another record with the Skyknight on the night of December 10, 1952, when they downed the first aircraft by an aircraft with a radar track and lock-on and without visual contact. They performed the feat by using their radar to lock onto a Polikarpov Po-2 biplane. They were also credited with another probable kill that night. The number of USMC Skyknights in Korea was doubled in January 1953 to 24, which allowed them to effectively escort B-29 superfortresses on night bombing missions. On January 12, 1953, an F3D-2 of VMF, N. 513 that was escorting B-29s on a night bombing mission was vectored to a contact and shot down the fourth aircraft by a Skyknight. By the end of the war, Skyknights had claimed 6 enemy aircraft, 1 Polikarpov Po-2, 1 Yakovlev Yak-15 and 4 MiG-15s. 1 aircraft was lost to enemy fire, which was piloted by LTJG Bob Bick and his crewman, Chief Petty Officer Linton Smith, on July 2, 1953. This aircraft was with a detachment from Fleet Composite Squadron 4, VC-4, at NAS Atlantic City, and was attached to Marine Fighter Squadron 513, VMF, N. 513. While the Skyknight lacked the swept wings and high subsonic performance of the MiG-15, its powerful fire control system enabled it to find and kill other fighters at night, while most MiG-15s could only be guided by ground-based radar. Post-Korean War. After the Korean War, the F-3D was gradually replaced by more powerful aircraft with better radar systems. Its career was not over though. Its stability and spacious fuselage made it easily adaptable to other roles. The F-3D, under the designations F-3D-1M and F-3D-2M, was used to support development of a number of air-to-air missile systems during the 1950s, including the Sparrow I, II, and III and Meteor missiles. The Sparrow missile was developed at Pacific Missile Test Center and early test firings were conducted at Naval Ordnance Test Station China Lake. In 1954, the F-3D-2M was the first Navy jet aircraft to be fitted with an operational air-to-air missile, the Sparrow I, an all-weather day/night BVR missile that used beam riding guidance for the aircrew to control the missile's track. Only 28 aircraft, 12 F-3D-1MS, and 16 F-3D-2MS, were modified to use the missiles. In the late 1950s, a number of the Marine F-3D-2 aircraft were reconfigured as electronic warfare aircraft and were designated F-3D-2Q, later F-10B. A few aircraft were also converted for use as trainers and were designated F3D-2T. Some of these aircraft were fitted with a single 10 aerial reconnaissance photography camera, which was mounted in the tail section. When the U.S. Navy issued a requirement for a fleet defense missile fighter in 1959, Douglas responded with the F-6D Missiler, essentially an updated and enlarged F-3D that would carry the AAMN-10 Eagle long-range air-to-air missile, with the most important characteristics being its generous fuel capacity, its considerable time on station, a crew of 2 and sophisticated electronics, rather than speed or maneuverability. This concept, which kept the straight wings in an age of supersonic jets, was soon cancelled because it would not be able to defend itself against more nimble fighters. Its weapons system would be adapted for the supersonic swing-wing General Dynamics Grumman F-111B, the U.S. Navy version of a joint U.S. Air Force/USN tactical jet aircraft, which also specified side-by-side seating. The U.S. Air Force version would eventually see service as an air-to-ground fighter bomber, but the Navy version, envisioned as a fleet air defense fighter and dogfighter, would be cancelled when it was clear that its performance was not sufficient for an air-to-air dogfighter role. The AWG-9/Phoenix and TF-30 turbofan engine would eventually enter service on the F-111B's successor, the swing-wing Grumman F-14 Tomcat. Skyknights continued in service through the 1960s in a gull-white color scheme, when their contemporaries had long since been retired. In 1962, when the U.S. Navy and U.S. Air Force unified their designation systems, the F3D-1 was redesignated F-10A and the F3D-2 was redesignated F-10B. Vietnam War. The Skyknight was the only Korean War jet fighter that also flew in Vietnam. F-10Bs served in the electronic warfare role during the Vietnam War until 1969. The large interior provided ample room for electronic equipment. U.S. Marine Composite Reconnaissance Squadron 1 VMCJ-1 Golden Hawks began operating the F-10B in Vietnam on April 17, 1965 under Lieutenant Col Wes Corman at Da Nang Air Base, Republic of Vietnam, with 6 aircraft. No more than 10 F-10Bs were in Vietnam at one time. The electronic warfare, EU, Skyknight was a valuable electronic countermeasure, ECM, asset to jam the SA-2 surface-to-air missiles, SAM, tracking and guidance systems. VMCJ-1 made history when its F-10Bs conducted the first USMC airborne radar jamming mission on April 29, 1965 to support a U.S. Air Force strike mission. 4 F-10Bs also supported a massive strike on the SA-2 SAM sites near Hanoi on July 27, 1965. Many U.S. aircraft were lost to SA-2 surface-to-air missiles in Vietnam, and the electronic attack on the associated radar systems was known as fog-bound missions. The F-3D also dropped chaff over the radar sites. The first F-10B lost in Vietnam was to an SA-2 SAM on March 18, 1966, while 4 more F-10Bs were lost in Vietnam to accidents and unknown causes. Their mission was gradually taken over by the more capable EA-6A Electric Intruder, an electronic warfare/electronic countermeasures (EU/ECM) variant of the Grumman A-6 Intruder attack bomber. The F-10B Skyknight continued to fly lower-threat EU missions until they were withdrawn from Vietnam in October 1969. The U.S. Navy's EKA-3 Skywarrior and the U.S. Air Force's Douglas RB-66 destroyer also took on EU missions. The U.S. Marine Corps retired its last F-10Bs in May 1970. Post-Vietnam, the U.S. Navy continued to use the F-10S for avionics systems testing. The F-10 was used as a radar test bed to develop the APQ-72 radar. The nose of an F-4 Phantom was added to the front of an F-10B. Another F-10 had a modified radome installed by the radar manufacturer Westinghouse. Yet another TF-10B was modified with the nose from an A-4 Skyhawk. In 1968, 3 Skyknights were transferred to the U.S. Army. These aircraft were operated by the Raytheon Corporation at Holloman AFB, where they were used testing at the White Sands Missile Range into the 1980s. They were the last flyable Skyknights. Variants: XF-3D-1 prototype aircraft, 2 Westinghouse J34W24 turbojet engines of 3000 lbf, 1361 kgf, APQ-35 search and target acquisition radar, 420 mm cannon, 3 built. F3D-1. 2-seat all-weather day or night fighter aircraft, powered by two 3000 lbf Westinghouse J34W32 turbojet engines, tail warning radar, ECM, and other electronics that added over 5,000 pounds, 2,267 kilograms, of weight, 28 built. First flight, February 13, 1950. F3D-1M. 12 F3D-1S were converted into missile-armed test aircraft, used in the development of the AIM-7 Sparrow air-to-air missile. F3D-2. Second production version, initially powered by two 3,400 lbf, 1,542 kgf, Westinghouse J34W36 and later by two 3,600 lbf, 1,633 kgf, Westinghouse J34W38 turbojet engines, 565 miles per hour, 909 kilometers per hour, at 20,000 feet, 6,096 m, equipped with wing spoilers, autopilot and an improved Westinghouse APQ-36 radar, 237 built. First flight, February 14, 1951. F3D-2B. 1 F3D-1 was used for special armament test in 1952. F3D-2M. 16 F3D-2S were converted into missile-armed aircraft. The F3D-2MS were armed with AIM-7 Sparrow air-to-air missiles. F3D-2Q. 35 F3D-2S were converted into electronic warfare aircraft. F3D-2T. 5 F3D-2S were converted into night fighter training aircraft. F3D-2T2. 55 F3D-2S were used as radar operator trainers and electronic warfare aircraft. F3D-3. Unbuilt project, intended to be an advanced version incorporating swept wings. F10A. 1962 redesignation of the F3D-1. F10B. 1962 redesignation of the F3D-2. F10B. 1962 redesignation of the F3D-2Q. MF10A. 1962 redesignation of the F3D-1M. MF10B. 1962 redesignation of the F3D-2M. TF10B. 1962 redesignation of the F3D-2T2. Operators. United States. United States Army. United States Marine Corps. United States Navy. Aircraft on display. F3D-2. Uno 124598, National Museum of Naval Aviation at NAS Pensacola, Florida. Uno 124629, Pima Air and Space Museum adjacent to Davis-Monthan AFB in Tucson, Arizona. Uno 124630, Flying Leatherneck Aviation Museum at MCAS Miramar, California. Uno 125807, Combat Air Museum in Topeka, Kansas. Uno 125870, repainted as Uno 127039, Korean War and Vietnam War Memorial in Del Valle Park in Lakewood, California. Originally displayed in 1950s era dark blue coloring, the aircraft was repainted in 1963 to the gray and white color scheme of Marine Corps aircraft at the time. With this repainting, the aircraft had the tail code 7L, which was the 1960s era tail code for Marine Corps Air Reserve and Naval Air Reserve aircraft at nearby Naval Air Station Los Alamitos, California. In 2015, the aircraft was refurbished and painted in gray and white to depict a late 1950s era Skyknight of VMFT, N-20 with tail code BP. F3D-2Q. Uno 124618, National Museum of the Marine Corps, in Quantico, Virginia. Uno 124620, Quonset Air Museum at Quonset State Airport, former NAS Quonset Point, in Quonset Point, Rhode Island. UNO 125850, Air Force Flight Test Center Museum at Edwards AFB, California. This aircraft served until 1970 as part of VMCJ-3, U.S. Marine Composite Reconnaissance Squadron 3, based at Marine Corps Air Station El Toro, California, carrying tail code TN. F3D2T. UNO 127074, Empire State Aerosciences Museum, ESAM, near Schenectady, New York. This F3D was operated by Raytheon in Massachusetts for electronics tests until it was donated to the Intrepid Sea Airspace Museum in New York City, New York. It was displayed at the museum from 1987 until April 2012, when it was one of 3 aircraft moved to the ESAM to make room for the Space Shuttle Enterprise. It is painted in the livery of U.S. Marine Night Fighter Squadron 513, VMF, N. 513, as flown during the Korean War. Specifications, F3D2. General characteristics. Crew, 2. Length, 45 feet 5 in, 13.84 m. Wingspan, 50 feet 0 in, 15.24 m. Height, 16 feet 1 in, 4.90 m. Wing area, 400 feet superscript 2, 37.16 square meters. Empty weight, 18,160 pounds, 8,237 kilograms. Loaded weight, 21,374 pounds, 9,694 kilograms. Max takeoff weight, 26,850 pounds, 12,178 kilograms. Power plant, 2 times Westinghouse J34W38 turbojets, 3,600 lbf, 1,633 kilograms, each. Performance. Maximum speed, 491 knots, 565 miles per hour, 909 kilometers per hour, at 20,000 feet, 6,096 m. Cruise speed, 454 miles per hour, 394 knots, 731 kilometers per hour. Stall speed, 93 miles per hour, 81 knots, 150 kilometers per hour. Range, 1,200 mi/1,000 nmi, 1,931 kilometers internal, 1,374 mi/1,193 nmi, 2,211 kilometers with 2 times 150 gal/568 L tanks. Service ceiling, 38,200 feet, 11,643 m. Rate of climb, 2,970 feet/min, 15.1 m/s. Wing loading, 53.4 lb/foot superscript 2, 260.9 kg/m superscript 2. Thrust/weight, 0.34. Armament. Guns, 4 times 20 mm Hispano-Suiza M2 cannon, 200 RPG. Rockets, 2 times 11.75 in, 29.8 cm, Tiny Tim, rocket. Missiles, 4 times Sparrow I air-to-air missiles, F3D2M. Bombs, 2 times 2,000 pounds, 900 kilograms, bombs. See also. Related development. Douglas F-6D Missler. Aircraft of comparable role, configuration, and era. Curtiss-Wright XF-87 Black Hawk. De Havilland Sea Venom. De Havilland Sea Vixen. Lockheed F-94 Starfire. Northrop F-89 Scorpion. Related lists. List of fighter aircraft. List of military aircraft of the United States. List of military aircraft of the United States, Naval. Role fighter aircraft. Manufacturer Douglas Aircraft Company. First flight March 23, 1948. Introduction 1951. Retired 1970. Status retired. Primary users United States Navy. United States Marine Corps. Number built 265. Variants Douglas F3D Missler.
Please subscribe and thanks for watching.